right, shalom, shalom. It's a Sabbath today, so Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. To the 12 tribes scattered abroad, I want to first give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High and His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. Who the world has identified falsely as the name Jesus Christ. Nonetheless, this particular lesson, I'm not necessarily going to categorize it in the Don't Shoot the Messenger episodes, but it is part of that um, vein of work that we do and or that I do. And it's very important. Spirit hit me. It's been a while, but a little bit more consciously within the last few months, and maybe even longer than that. And the thing I want to, look at, and I'm seeing, in the spirit and just prophetically how things are transpiring in the world, dealing with the global food shortages, the supply chains breaking down, inflation going up, the rise of the Frankenfoods, so forth and so on. It was important that the spirit came to me to kind of see where things was going in regards to the food supply and the famine and how that's going to affect and impact us as a people, moving forward. You hear about the Great Reset. You hear about the the Great Green Plan and all this other stuff that Esau is doing. One of the things that is incorporated in that is the food supply. I made mention, and I've said it a lot of times regarding a movie called Soylent Green. And I think it came out like in the late 60s or something like that, maybe even the 70s. But it was dealing with a particular conspiracy that happened. There was a murder that happened of a CEO or something like that. And it's like a post industrial apocalyptic time. Everybody's living in, squalor or what have you. Very similar to what they're trying to push now with the global Agenda 2030, which is formerly Agenda 21, where everybody's is is governmentally controlled, dealing on government subsidies, so forth and so on. But long story short, the food supply was being controlled by the government, and the government had created this one particular wafer called Soylent Green that had all the nutrients, everything that you needed in a day, and they would dump it off to the people every Tuesday so that people could get their rations and their food to eat. Long story short, they wound up finding out that this one particular corporation that was making the Soylent Green was making it out of human bodies. All right. And I'm going to just leave it there. You can go check it out for yourself. It's an older movie. If you got the patience to watch it, check it out. Soylent Green. But nonetheless, I'm not here to say that, that's the exact plan of what, our oppressors are doing or have planned, within the next 10 years or so forth, as far as turning us into cannibals, although that's not beyond the realms of possibility. We are dealing with the devil, right? But nonetheless, there is going to be a transformation, a continual transformation. Everybody knows about the GMOs. Everybody knows about all that, right? But it goes deeper than that, and the global plan in regards to how that's going to be force-fed, down our throats. The works is already in, and the actual changing of the diet. The actual changing of the diet through propaganda, through the medical research teams that they have, the think tanks that they have lined up. They're going to start changing the whole thought process of what's healthy to eat, what's not healthy to eat, what's okay to eat, what's not okay to eat. Okay. The Most High told us, in particular, the 12 tribes of Israel, what our diet should consist of. Leviticus 11, Deuteronomy 14 lets us know what it is. So, we have a certain guidelines that we abide by. But that's going to go totally against what the so-called white man is doing. He's already done it, infiltrated the food system, changed everything according to scientific and biological names and whatnot. So it's hard to identify, what's clean, what isn't now. You got to do extra research during the times of the Passover. The Passover list of clean and unclean, kosher and unkosher, it's like this. You know what I'm saying? It's not just leaven, baking soda, baking powder, it's well beyond that. Well beyond that. Okay. All of the particular phosphates, so forth and so on. So I want to get into this information, get into some scriptures first, and then I also wanted to doing something different. I'm pre-recording this. I'm going to upload it later, as opposed to going live because This is really going to be as much as I was researching and getting this information, it was speaking to me just as much as it's speaking to you. So I'm not necessarily learned of the situation, but I have to really get more focused and discipline, my family more disciplined regarding um, what's going on and what's going on our plates and on our tables. Because, the so-called white man is slick, man. He ain't the devil for nothing. But he's got a definite diabolical plan that is going to be infiltrated into our homes. Food is going to be used as a weapon and a means of control of the people. Okay. So it's our job to make sure that we're vigilant and understand and know when and why these times are coming and what we can do to prepare. I see the algorithm sometimes, with the videos or whatnot. Y'all like to watch for like 15 minutes and, 10 minutes and dip off. So it would behoove you, to make time to watch this entire video. There's not going to be a 15-minute video. It's not going to be an hour. It might be 2 hours. Who knows? See how the spirit moves. But it would behoove you to stick it out, to get all of the necessary information, to know what's happening. Why? Why do I say that? Ecclesiastes 5:15. I know Israel. Y'all love the drama. You want to see us, chop down Esau. You want to see them kicking and licking boots. You want to see them getting cut up on the streets. You love to see the Christians getting embarrassed and humiliated. All that is fine and dandy. But at the end of the day, there is a particular responsibility that we have still as the children of the Lord to follow along and actually abide by and watch and pray, as Yahweh Shah said, for what's going to be happening as the times move on. Why do I say make sure that you make time to go through the entire video? Sirach 5:15. Be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or a small. So ignorance is never an excuse. We can't say, well, I didn't know. I never heard that. I didn't think that was important. I didn't have time. We all have schedules. We all have opportunity, to review and research information, to make sure that we're studying to show ourselves approved. It's important that we do so. So this one, you're going to dig in and sit down and go through the information, go back, research what I'm putting out there. Don't take my word for it. Go back and check it out. Share it with your friends and your families, your loved ones, those who you think may be concerned. It doesn't matter. Carnivore, omnivore, pescatarian, vegetarian, everybody's getting affected by this. Nobody's escaping. You think the so-called white man don't realize everybody's running over here? Oh, I'm gonna be a vegan. I'm staying away from this, that, and the third. I'm sticking with meat. The dude is going to be infiltrating every aspect of what we're eating. Every aspect. There's no escape. Okay? That's why you have to be on the side of the right hand side of the Most High and the faith of Yahweh Shah in these scriptures. Period. Because you know what? This dude is going all out, man. The so-called white man is not giving up, and he's not letting go of his reign of power and supremacy without a fight. And it's his will. If it's in his will, he's going to take down as many as he can before it's all said and done. Collateral damage is what they call it. Okay? So let's get into, I'm going to share this PowerPoint with everybody. I want to, again, get into some of the scriptural references first, and then we're going to get into the rest. All right? So let's see what's up. All right. So as y'all can see, I titled this Oppression Through Food. Feast or famine? Feast or famine. All right. So let's figure out and see, what is it going to be in these days and times? What are we going to be looking forward to? Now, you see this guy, Klaus Schwab. He's the leader of the World Economic Forum, one of the elites. Sometimes you want to put a face on. Well, who's the Illuminati? Who's the elites? This guy's one of them. Bill Gates, of course, the Rockefellers, all of them, they're all in cahoots. Some are puppets, some aren't. But this guy is one of the ones who's trying to dictate policy moving forward as it pertains to Agenda 2030, as it pertains to what we're eating, as it pertains to how we're moving in this so-called global pandemic. This is one of the headlines. This is, I believe, This is from a website called 21st Century. 21st Century Newswire, something like that. But I just took I thought the actual visual that they had was important. But this is one of the articles. Now you can see it was published May 22nd. I started working on this last month, at least. So it just showed me in the spirit that this is how things is already moving forward, in regards to where my spirit was hit to put this information out, to be a watchman for Israel and let it be known, that the plate of food consumption, everything is going to be under attack. As we know, it already is, but even on higher and greater levels. So get ready for the plate reset. See, and you see what's behind it, vegetables and whatnot. This is all part of the global reset plan. There's an old saying that they say, never let a good crisis go to waste. See, they want to capitalize off of everything that happens, be it good, be it bad, calamities. They say everything has opportunity. So as they're continuing on with this reset that's been set up by controllers. Matter of fact, I shared this on Facebook the other day. Let me see this real quick. I shared this on Facebook the other day, and it was just indicative of showing exactly what was going on with the vid and this whole ordeal that we're dealing with in regards to lockdowns, in regards to the new changing of the rules, the new normals. This is from Fox News. It says IEA sees COVID lockdowns as a climate solution. Remember, a few episodes back of Don't Shoot the Messenger, there was an undercover sting operation that happened with one of CNN's top executives. And he was sitting there talking about how they, were told to slander, railroad, and politicize the election to get rid of Trump. So it was their job to demonize him, do whatever they could to get rid of him. Then they said after that's over, they utilize the vid as a method to instill fear into the people. Now they said now that that's kind of dying out a little bit, the next thing that they're going to start propagating is climate. Okay, so about climate control, global warming, all that is going to be at the forefront of everybody's mind. They're going to say that the earth is being destroyed because of carbon emissions. It's going to be destroyed because of, gas cars riding around, oil, everything else. And we got to get rid of everything. And we've got to go back into a whole new reset of how the world operates. Paper money, that's out of here. We're talking about digital currencies. That's already, in full swing. All right. So this was one of the things that they said on this Fox News report. All right. It says the COVID crisis demonstrated that people can make behavioral changes. Did you hear that? The vid crisis demonstrated that people can make behavioral changes. So what is that saying? That this was a tool that was used for to document and to acknowledge how people behaved during this time. That's called social engineering. When a situation occurs, the petri dish of the people are being used as an experiment to see how they react. So it says the vid crisis demonstrated that people can make behavioral changes at significant speed and scale if they understand the changes to be justified. So in other words, they're saying through the social experiment that we utilized, we realized that people will make significant changes at a rapid rate if it seems as though it's justified. So if they make it sound as though this has to happen, you're in danger, your life is going to change, you're going to die if you don't do this, if you don't put on this mask, if you don't do it, all of these things, they said, now if it sounds as if it's justified, they know the people will comply and they're going to go along with it speedily. Okay, so now here we're seeing the get ready for the plate reset. See down here, sustainable. That's one of the words that you're going to always hear, especially when it comes down to Agenda 2030. Sustainable development. How can we create avenues of sustainability and get rid of the old ways of waste and so forth and so on? And that means more AI, more technological advancements, more gene splicing, more governmental control, all of those things is all going to say, well, humans, you can't sustain the earth. You can't sustain what goes onto your plate because you're too destructive. Let us control it. Let us put our robots and our AI and our tech into your homes, into your bodies, and everywhere else so that we can control the narratives. So we can control to maintain and sustain the earth. And if we have to sacrifice some people, we have to get rid of the global population, some millions or even billions, in order to sustain the earth, then we need to do that. Let's move on. Let's get into some scriptures. All right. Stick with me, y'all. This is important. Job 9:24, famous scripture, always quoted by the Israelites, always quoted by us, because why? It's imperative to understand and know who's in control, who's controlling the narrative, who are the ones that's actually allowing this information to go forth and disseminate into the earth. This is important. Okay, so looking at this, we're going to see Job 9:24. Let me switch the view, excuse me. All right. Let me see what's up with this. Okay. Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So the question is being asked. The earth now has been given into the hand. The possession of the earth, everything that's entailing within it, how it's ran, how it's utilized, is all being shown to be given into the hand of the wicked. Now, the identifying characteristic of who's controlling the earth has been given. Whoever is controlling the earth, they're wicked. Thus saith the Lord. Not thus saith me, thus saith the Israelites, the Black, Hispanic, Native Americans. No. The Most High said, you better watch who's controlling how things move in the earth. Well, who's in control of the global banks? Who's in control of the World Council of Churches? Who's in control of the FDA and the food supplies? Who's in control of lawmaking? Who's in control of the military? Huh? Look around. It ain't no black man. It's not no Hispanic man. And I don't care what type of nationality they try to qualify themselves as. Russian, German, French, Scandinavian, Norwegian, Australian, British, red-blooded American. They're all the same. All the same. Just born in different lands. All descend from the seed of Esau or Edom, the red nation. The ones whose blood show forth through their skin, yeah, the ones you can see when they're embarrassed, they turn red. When you slap them, turn red. The blood shows forth through their skin. The transparent, yeah, them. Those are the ones who's controlling the earth. Let's keep it real. They're the ones who's in control of hiring, firing. They're the ones who's dictating policy all throughout the earth. Huh? They say America is the hub of control of the earth, the most powerful nation in the earth, the peacekeepers of the earth. Why do you think Joe Biden has to be asked and approved of when any global conflict is going on? When everything was going down in Israel and Hamas, what did they say? Joe Biden had to go in there and say when to stop. That ain't his business. It's not American affairs, is it? No, but he has to make sure that he comes in and says yay or nay to what's going on. America has over 130, I think 136 military bases and places of diplomacy all throughout the earth. You know, this is the only nation that has control and is able to input their fingerprints everywhere. And the Most High said, now this earth, we're talking about land ownership, the whole nine. Well, who's in control of the land? Who's the one that's taxing, landowners? Who's the ones who's able to disseminate who gets what on this earth? The Most High said that the earth is given to the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. The greatest form of vandalism was done by the so-called white man in the 15th century, known as the Renaissance. Changed the faces of the judges. The true judges of the earth are the Israelites. How do we know that? Why? Because if you're dealing in a court of law, we're talking about court of what? Law. Which means that it has to come from some sort of penal codes or stipulations regarding judgment. Well, who's giving the law? Who's giving the Torah? This is the book of the law. Joshua 1:8 tells you that. So if we were given the law, that means that we were enabled to be judges. Our whole depiction has been changed and defamed. One prime example, everybody should know this by now. Nobody, the only ones who's in denial of Christ being a dark-skinned man with white woolly hair are the damn Christian apologists and other Catholics and everybody else who's still drunk off of religion and who have not refused, who refuse to bow down to the fact that, hey, Christ was a dark-skinned man with white woolly hair, period. And you have a problem with that. The reason why you have a problem is that because you're racist as hell and you don't want to accept the truth because you're standing behind racist indoctrinations of religion rather than what the Bible says. If Job said, my skin is black upon me, what does that mean? If the Bible said that Moses took his hand, put it into his coat, brought it out, and it turned as his other flesh. No. First, it said he put his hand in and it came out leprous as snow. Then he put it back in, came back out, and it said, now it turned back and says other flesh. Well, what was the other flesh? Don't say it was disease and then it went back. No. Because it said a color. It said leprous as snow, meaning it turned white. And then his melanin came back in and the dark skin pigmentation came back into his hands. But you leave it to Hollywood, they tell you Charlton Heston, was Moses. You leave it to Hollywood, they tell you Russell Crowe was Noah. You leave it to Hollywood, they'll say Ben Caviezel was Christ. In the lab, what was it? What was the name of that movie? Not The Last Temptation. Golly, I forgot the name of it. But y'all know which one I'm talking about. The last Christ movie that they did, I think Mel Gibson did it. But nonetheless, we see the lies there. How they changed the faces of the judges. He changed it through the Renaissance periods. He changed the artwork. But if you look at all of the dark age illustrations from Romania to Russia to the libraries in Great Britain and France, Germany, they still have all of the depictions of dark-skinned Jews. Portugal, Spain, the dark-skinned Jews, that's right. But they made a concerted effort to change that. Even in the book of the Apocrypha, it tells you, in the book of Maccabees, I'm not going to go there for a second, because I don't want to, go too far astray. But it tells you that the Greeks sought to paint their images out of our books. See? So the conspiracy is there, and it lets you know that these people are wicked who did that. And then it said, if not, where and who is he? So that was already prophetic to know that somebody was going to come behind and say, that don't sound right. That don't seem true. I don't know. You guys could be twisting it. And then the question was to follow. Well, if not, where and who is he then? You tell me. The Most High made it clear. He said, they're even going to come behind you and ask you that. So follow up with this. If not, where and who is he then? If not, where and who is he? So the earth's been given into the hand of the wicked. So in understanding that, we got to know agriculture, food, land, ownership, all that other stuff is going to be given into the hand of the wicked. So understanding and identifying the characteristics of these people is going to let you know furtherly how the plan is going to unfold. Okay, Isaiah 24, and we're going to read verse 6. Isaiah 24. Actually, I'm going to read 5 and probably 6. Actually, I'm going to read 4 down to 6. All right. Isaiah 24 and 4 says, the earth mourneth and fadeth away. The world languisheth and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth do language. So we're talking about and seeing how even the earth now has suffered because of the people who's in rulership. Okay. So now we're seeing what's happening. The earth is supposed to be given a rest period every 7 years. It's supposed to have a time to replenish. It's supposed to be able to replenish the nutrients and whatnot in the earth. But what happens? No, the so-called white man comes to rapes, plummets, and pillages the lands only to capitalize on to make more skyscrapers, more buildings, more setting up of abominable plantations. He's going to use it, defiling it with the blood of the people. Verse 5, The earth also is defiled unto the inhabitants thereof. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof. So when we're talking about, well, what's going on with the earth, you look up any studies regarding what's happening with the nutrients and the minerals that's in the earth, they're barely giving off any nutrients because the earth is in such bad shape right now. This is one of the reasons why the so-called white man is throwing on his his sustainability cape and saying, hey, I need to come in and save the earth because it's being destroyed by the people. No, this is being done by you. You're the one who industrialized everything. You're the one who came up with these technologies that's out here destroying things. You're the ones trying to punch holes through the ozone layer, allowing the UV rays to come in. That's not us. So now I want to say even the earth is defiled. So this is what I was talking about earlier. Even regarding diet, you can be a vegan. Okay, cool. But guess what? Even the things that we're eating that comes in from the vegetation, from the fruits, from the nuts and the plant, it said the earth is giving off defiled minerals. So it may be a healthier option, but here we are talking about basically the lesser of two evils, because we're not even back to the point to where the land is holy again, to where it's going to actually give us and replenish us in the right fashion. That's why, okay, you can be a vegan, but guess what? You still got to work out. You still probably taking herbal supplements and so forth and so on, because it's not giving enough. And definitely for us carnivores and omnivores, if you're not supplementing with, additional minerals and vitamins and whatnot, and herbs, you're really in trouble. So the earth is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws and changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. So see what happens? When the children of Israel, we fell off from following after the commandments of the Most High. Everything suffers. The earth suffers, the people suffers, the animal suffers, the insect suffers. Now the earth's been given into the hand of the wicked. They've defiled it, changed the ordinances, broken the everlasting covenant. I mean, everything is defiled now. Let me move on. Let's go to Judith. In your pocket was the book of Judith, chapter 5. Historically, the heathen, they always took record, knew and understood our legacy and our history, knew and understand how it impacted history. We're going to read in the book of Judith, chapter 5. We're going to read 3 down to 5. And he said unto them, Tell me now, ye sons of Canaan, who this people is that dwelleth in the hill country, and what are the cities that they inhabit, and what is the multitude of their army, and wherein is their power and strength, and what is the king, and what king is set over them, or captain of their army? So this is Holofernes, right? Now he's asking one of the Ammonites that was in his army, or what was it? Captains of the Ammon. You read up further. Other armies are the Ashurites. They're trying to figure out, well, who are these people of Canaan over there in the northern inhabitants of Canaan? He wants to know the history. He said, I need to know the king. I want to know about their armies. What's going on? Now, here we are. One of the heathen has to break down the history of our people. And why, verse 4, and why have they determined not to come and meet me more than all the inhabitants of the west? Then said Achior, the captain of all the sons of Ammon, Ammon being the so-called Japanese in today's terms, okay, people of the east. He's the captain, right? And here he is giving the history. Then you sit back and you wonder, you say, well, dang, how did these Koreans be coming over here off the fish boat and know exactly what we want? They're opening up the nail shops. They're opening up the look, here in LA, they got a place called Louisiana Fried Chicken. Damn near all of them are owned by Koreans. How the hell do you know anything about Louisiana Fried Chicken? And then they merge it with Chinese food. And they do the same thing in I know in New York, they be doing the same stuff, serving up fried chicken with Chinese food because they know you Negroes love it. They know what liquors you like. They know that the neighbor, I've been in different neighborhoods in LA, knowing which is blood, which is Crip. And I've seen rags in Crip neighborhoods being sold at the front while the rest of the colors are at the back. The red and the blood neighborhoods, same thing. I've seen it. How do they know that? Why are they involving themselves in the politics? They know you niggas love Black and Miles and all that other stuff. Backwoods. They know the liquor you like. How do they know that? Because they study you. They know your history. You don't. We don't. That's why we're out here and we got to teach our people what the truth is. All right. So here he is. Then said Achior, the captain of all the sons of Ammon, let my Lord now hear a word from the mouth of thy servant, and I will declare unto thee the truth concerning this people, which dwelleth near thee, and inhabiteth the hill countries, and there shall no lie come out of the mouth of thy servant. Verse 6, this people are descendant of the Chaldeans. Who are they talking about? Abraham. Remember, Abraham came out of Ur of the Chaldees. That's in Genesis 11. I'm going to drop down. So he was wondering, the king was wondering, why were these people being rebellious and not coming in and showing obeisance to him? And he said, I need to know everything about them. Here comes the Ammonite. He comes up, says, look, I know the whole breakdown of these people. They descend out of the Chaldeans all the way back in Sumer or what have you, under Abraham, knew about Isaac, knew about Jacob, talking about history. They knew it all. Dropping down, reading verse 18. Now, he gave the whole history about the Exodus, so forth and so on. Now he talked about the battles that we had. And it says, verse 17, I'm going to get right to the point. Everybody read the whole chapter if you haven't already. And whilst they sinned not before their power, they prospered, because the Most High that hateth iniquity was with them. So he said, look, as long as these people maintain their righteousness, their power is with them, they always will prosper. So for us to try to figure out, well, how are we going to get out of these conditions? How are we going to make things better? Well, in Proverbs 14:34, it says, righteousness exalteth the nation. That's how we're going to get uplifted, through righteousness. Well, what's righteousness? Deuteronomy 6:25. Righteousness is keeping the law. Now we're reading it right here. It says, as long as his people stay obedient and keep the laws to the Most High, they're always going to prosper. That's our way out. Verse 18. But when they departed from the way which he appointed them, they were destroyed in many battles, very sore. Did you hear that? When we departed from the ways of the Most High, we got destroyed. We got our butts kicked. They were destroyed in many battles, very sore, and were led captives into a land that was not theirs. Hello? Did you hear that? Led captives into lands that was not theirs. That was always a legacy. Yeah, Deuteronomy 28:68, moving over here on ships, that was part of the legacy of being disobedient to the Most High. But we went into captivity many a times. That was the prescribed poison or medicine of the cursing of the children of Israel, that we would go into captivity under other nations. So it said we were going to captivity in the land that's not theirs, and the temple of their power was cast to the ground, and the cities were taken by the enemy. So we're talking about what? Babylon, the destruction of our temples and so forth and so on. They knew it all. But now are they returned to their power and are come up from the places where they are scattered, and have possessed Jerusalem, where their sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, for it is desolate. Now therefore, my Lord and governor, if there be any error in this people, and they sin against their power, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overcome them. So if there's any error in the children of Israel, we're easily defeatable and conquerable. The nations know this. That's why the so-called white man and the nations make a concentrated effort to continually keep us defiled. They want to flood us with the LGBTQ Scrabble gang propaganda. They want to flood us with defiled foods and meats. They want to flood us with lies and hypocrisies. They want to flood us with religion and false doctrine. They want to flood us with, false or negative imageries, through entertainment, so forth and so on. They know as long as we stay in this state of mind of defilement and displeasing the Most High, they're going to continue to take full advantage of us. Verse 19, but now are they returned to their power, and they are come up from the places where they were scattered, and have possessed Jerusalem, where their sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, for it was desolate. Now therefore, my Lord and governor, if there be any error in this people, and they sin against their power, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overcome them. Verse 21. But if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them, and their power be for them, and we become a reproach before all the world. In other words, what he say? Listen, leave them people alone. If they follow not the law, statutes, and commandments, we don't stand a chance in hell. And we will become history and one on the list that the Almighty Yahweh and the mighty angels destroyed, and were part of the destruction of the children of Israel's legacy. So he said, man, leave them alone. If they right, leave them alone. But if they wrong, we got them. So this is why this is important when we're reading about this particular great plate reset, because this is part of the understanding and knowing if we can defile them, we can keep them, separated from their power. We can continue on with power and legacy. Isaiah 10. Let's go there. Isaiah the 10th chapter, and I'm gonna read 1 through 4. Verse 1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that have right grievousness which they have prescribed. So woe being destruction, it says unto them that decree unrighteous decrees. So when we're seeing all of these particular laws that's being passed, jab passports, I got to be careful now. The last video I did talking about it, they deleted it and they warned me. YouTube is funny. But wait till my next Don't Shoot the Messenger episode. You're gonna see the hypocrisy and what happened with that whole situation. But nonetheless, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that right grievousness which they have prescribed. So here they are prescribing and telling you what's good, what isn't good, what's okay, what isn't okay, right? These are all things that they're trying to acknowledge and say, we control the narrative. And it's going to be based in their righteousness, because it's not going to be based upon the laws of the Most High. They ain't worried about that. That's not on their agenda. They go into a court of law, swear on the Bible, and then throw it out. Didn't Uncle Joe Biden, didn't he get sworn on the Bible? Is he following any law, statutes, and commandments? Is he upholding anything? No. So they don't care about that. Verse 2. To turn aside the needy from judgment and to take away the right from the poor of my people. To turn aside the needy from judgment. See, when we're looking for judgment, when we need judgment, they turn aside from that. Cops getting off from beating and murdering our people, being suspended with pay, people being, young boys being abused in the Catholic churches. What do? They're allowing the priest to parishioner off to another church to continue on in their evils. This is what's going on. And to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. So here they go. They promoting single parent homes, destroying the so-called Black and Hispanic man, flooding us in the jails. And then they go in and take full advantage of these widows sitting at home, who's trying to learn how to live and how to raise up sons and daughters through manuals of dysfunction. That ain't gonna work. Verse 4. And what will you do on the day of visitation and in the desolation which shall come from far? To whom will you flee for help? And where will you leave your glory? So we see the judgment is going to be coming into play. Why? Because they're putting out false propaganda. They're going to be putting out an agenda that's harmful, dangerous to our people. What are you going to do on the day of the visitation? There's going to be a day of visitation. There will be a day of reckoning. Thus saith the Lord. Has to happen. Has to happen. Verse 4. Without me, they shall bow down under the prisoners, and they shall fall under the slain. For all this, his anger is not turned away, but his hand is still stretched out. So the abusers of justice, you're going to fall victim to this, okay? And this is why you see things being taken full advantage of. So while he's in control, this is what he's going to start pushing. We're going to read Revelation 11 and 18. Revelation 11 and 18. And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants, the prophets, and to the saints. So in this time of Revelation, there's going to be a final judgment. It says, and the angry, and thy wrath is come, the judgment and the wrath of the Most High is going to come, that they should be judged, that the dead is going to be judged. So not only are the ones who's already died, they're going to be risen up for judgment as well. It said that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward to thy servants, the prophets, and to the saints. Who are the saints? Of course, the children of Israel. Psalms 50 and 5, Psalms 140, I think it's 148:14, tells you about that. Who are the saints of the Most High? Even the children of Israel. The prophets of the Lord, always descended from the children of Israel. The spirit of a prophet, subject to a prophet. The rewards is going to come for you brothers and sisters. You brothers that's out there doing the work, and you sisters that are faithfully supporting and being the backbone and the helpmeets that you were created to be. The Most High said rewards is coming for that. And to the saints and to them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. Now the earth's been given into the hand of the wicked. The earth is being plumaged and pillaged by the so-called white man who's continually destroying the earth, who's continually making it a habitation of desolation to where we can't even function in this place no more. Every nook and cranny, man, he wants a piece of it. He wants to defile it. He wants to monopolize it. He wants to take opportunity of it. Colonization as he's destroying the earth. But the Most High said, there is going to be a destruction of those which destroy the earth. That's judgment, okay? This is what they're doing. They're creating an environment of destruction and then coming back posing as savior saying, we've got the solution. One of the solutions is going to be, we need to change up your diet. We need to change up what you eat. We need to change up the narrative about nutrition. We're going to go to Numbers now. Numbers 35, 33. Let me get through this. Numbers 35, 33. And that reads, so ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood that defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that it is shed therein, but by the blood of him that sheddeth. So, seeing the judgment and the justice of the Most High, said, the land is polluted when blood is defiled of it. Well, how much blood has been shed in this land through the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans? Just here in America alone. We ain't talking about the Caribbean island. We ain't talking about Haiti. We're not talking about the Dominican Republic, the island of Hispaniola. We're not talking about Mexico, South, Central America. I mean, there's blood been shed all over in the conquering of this land, let alone the west coast of Africa, where the blood's still crying out from the streets. You know, they got that tunnel of no return where the slaves went through. Yeah, there was bloodshed on the way getting there. And the scriptures say that it cannot be relieved until the blood of him that shed it has been executed. So if you want to know how we're going to get this the whole thing situated, well, listen, there can be no remission of sins without the shedding of blood. It's got to go down that way. Thus saith the Lord. And you say, oh, that's extreme. Well, tell that to the Most High. That's what he requires. Because if the earth has been defiled under the inhabitants thereof, well, you got to go back and say, well, who defiled the earth? Who's the one that shed all this blood to get land? You know how much blood was shed? Portugal, Spain, Great Britain, Ireland, wars that went on, to dethrone the black nobility that was ruling in those lands. Much blood. But guess what? It's got to be shed by blood in order for it to be cleansed. Ezekiel 14. Ezekiel 14. We're going to read 12 down to 14. And then I got one more scripture. We'll get more into this PowerPoint. Ezekiel 14 and starting at verse 12. And that reads, the word of the Lord came again to me, saying, Son of man, when the land sinneth against me by trespassing grievously, then will I stretch out my hand upon it, and I will break the staff of the bread thereof, and will send famine upon it, and will cut off man and beast from it. So anytime that the Most High finds that the land is sinned, blood on the land, so forth and so on, the Most High said he will break that land, and famine will ensue, and cut off man and beast from it. Verse 14, though these three men, Noah, Daniel, and Job, were in it, they should deliver it, but their own souls by righteousness, saith the Most High. So what's that telling you? That there is a record of Noah, Daniel, Job, who were faithful men, perfect in their ways, who were preserved when the Most High came through, swept the land, and destroyed. Bloodshed was happening, so forth and so on. The book of Isaiah tell you, man, my servants are going to eat. My servants are going to drink. But what's the key word? Servants. Not the lazy armchair quarterback who's not doing no works for the Most High. Not the one who's not trying to live, learn, and apply these laws, statutes, and commandments in your life. No, you're not going to make it. Faith alone is dead without works. Did Noah put in work? Absolutely. Did Daniel put in work? Absolutely. Did Job put in work? Absolutely. It said, though these three men, Noah, Daniel, and Job, were in it, they should deliver but their own souls by their righteousness, saith the Most High. So now we're seeing, what is it going to take to deliver our souls? It said their righteousness did it. Verse, was that it? Yeah. I just wanted to read 14. So it's letting it be known what was going to exalt and uplift these people. Now, Second Maccabees chapter 6. Second Maccabees 6. I'm going to read, I want to read 18. Verse 18. Yeah, this is a story about Eleazar. You know, for those who don't or haven't read this history regarding Eleazar, chief priest, a nobleman of Israel, a man of renown. If you don't remember or know about this history, this is what he was talking about. One of the principal scribes, and what happened to him. Eleazar, one of the principal scribes, an aged man and of well-favored countenance, was constrained to open his mouth and to eat swine's flesh. What they were doing was they wanted to set up Eleazar to be an example to the people. They said, look, we need the people to be defiled. We need the people to start eating after the king's meat. We need them to start eating after the swine's flesh. The only way that's going to do it is if we get a man of renown, one of their own, one that's respected. If we can get him up here to eat and show the people, hey, it's okay, eat this. Everybody else is going to follow suit. So they chose Eleazar. Eleazar was a man of renown, as it said. And they wanted him to come up and eat swine's flesh. It said, but he, choosing rather to die gloriously than to live stained with such an abomination, spitted forth and came of his own accord to the torment. Eleazar said, hell no. You're not going to get me to do that. You're not going to have that blood on my hands. You're not going to have me be responsible for these people being led astray and following after this. Absolutely not. So he spit it out. He said, I'd rather deal with the torment. Verse 20. As it behooved them to come that are resolute to stand out against such things as are not lawful for love of life to be tasted. So he said, I would rather not do something that's unlawful than to be falling into something that is overtaste. Verse 21. But they that had the charge of that wicked feast, for the old acquaintance they had with the man taking him aside, besought him to bring flesh of his own provision, such as was lawful for him to use, and make as if he did eat of the flesh taken from the sacrifice commanded by the king. So they said, okay, listen, no problem, Eleazar. You don't have to eat it. We'll just make it look like you eat it. We'll give you a clean food to eat. But just appear as though you're eating it. That'll suffice. What happened? Verse 22. That in so doing he might be delivered from death, and for the old friendship with them find favor. Verse 23. But he began to consider discreetly, and as became his age and the excellency of his ancient years and the honor of his gray head, whereunto he was come, and his most honest education from a child, or rather the holy law made and given by the Most High. Therefore he answered them accordingly and willed them straightways to send him to the grave. So, in other words, Eleazar said, I'd rather die thinking upon my old age. I've lived a long life. I've maintained a strong name in this nation. I've been a leader and a stalwart and a vanguard for my people. I've done my job to the end. And if that means this is the end, then so be it. Take me to the grave then, but I'm not even going to deceive my people. He didn't even think selfishly to say, well, you know what? If I didn't do it, it's not me. I'll just go ahead and eat the fake clean meat and deceive the people. He wasn't selfish like that. He said, no. If I'm going down, then let me be the martyr for my people to know, to stand up for these laws, statutes, and commandments, and not be the example. All right. You can read the rest of that on your own time. All right. But the point of the matter is that here we see that there will be a concerted effort done by the nations that want to get us to actually, I mean, you see it now, even with the whole vid campaign. You know, they're utilizing Hollywood celebrities, internet influencers, musicians, athletes, propping them up in front of the screens and telling you, go get the jab, go get the poke. There's no joke. You know, save a life. Don't be selfish. You know, utilizing all of these terms to try to make you feel guilty as if you're not being an upright person by standing up for what's right and saying, no, I don't agree with what's going on. Even in abortion, the pro-abortionists, they run around saying, my body, my choice. That's an argument. But then when it comes down to refusing this jab, Oh, it's not a choice no more. I can't travel without compliance. I can't get into certain entertainment functions without compliance. I guess I don't have no choice no more. So this is what's going on. It's going to get to the point to where they're making a stance that even down to what goes on the plate is going to be compromised. All right. So let's get back to this PowerPoint. I'm gonna switch the view, open it up a little bit more. All right. So we know about GMOs, right? Genetically modified organisms. And the Frankenfood dangers. It's already in effect. It's already going on. It's already been in effect. All right. So here are the concerns. People say there's nothing wrong with it. We need to mass produce the foods. The people is all, too many people. The farms is depleted. We're not, producing enough agricultural goods for the people. So we have to start creating Frankenfoods. We have to start laboratorily creating new methods of produce. So, but here's the dangers. 5 sets of ethical concerns have been raised about GM crops. Excuse me, potential harm to human health, potential danger to the environment, negative impact on traditional farming. Number one should have been enough. Potential harm to human health, potential damage to the environment. Well, here they are parading themselves, running around talking about the Green New Deal. They're talking about self-sustainability. They're talking about how much the environment is in danger. But through the creation of the GM farms and labs and so forth and so on, is doing more damage to the environment than traditional farming. The negative impact of traditional farming practice. So they're moving in on traditional farmers and removing them and their livelihoods and their ability to sustain their households and to create natural and organic regulated foods by humans consumption. No, they want the FDA in. They want to be able to control and say yes or no. This is okay to eat. This is not okay to eat. You can't grow that. You have to get your seeds from us. Excessive corporate dominance. See, that's what ends up happening when they corporatize. In other words, colonize what's supposed to be a free labor of food. They come in and start making everything corporate. They start dominating, and before you know it, there's only going to be a handful of companies that control all of the food supply. And the unnaturalness of the technology, of course. This is from a website called navdanya.org. This was an article that was talking about reclaiming the seed. So it was about the harmful impacts of GMO and how it was impacting the seed line. All right, because even in the law it tells you that we're not supposed to mix diverse seed. That's in Deuteronomy 22. So we're not supposed to be doing gene splicing. We're not supposed to be recreating new hybrid foods, new hybrid seeds. As you Negroes and Hispanics love to do with your weed. All of these strands, they're all GMO. Bottom line. I want to hear about it from the earth, and the Most High gave it to us for healing and medicine. Stop it. I'm reading a little bit from this paper. Okay, Reclaim the Seed was the article. It says, taking the farmer's seeds that embodies their creativity and knowledge of breeding. The civilizing mission of seed colonization is the declaration that farmers are primitive and that the varieties they have bred are primitive, inferior, low yielding, and have to be substituted and replaced with superior seeds from a superior race of breeders. So-called modern varieties and improved varieties bred for chemicals. Did you understand what that was saying? They're utilizing the same mentality of colonization of peoples the same way they are doing with the food supply and the seed change. They're saying our seeds are more dominant, more superior. You're working with low-level, primitive, and inferior seed lines. We've got the new and improved. We've got the supreme seeds. Notice how they even say that, we're the supreme race. You don't deserve to have that land. We need to take that so that we can monopolize and colonize it to make it more supreme so that we can have, more sustainable fruit. So telling the poor farmer, look, your ways is old, primitive, and inferior, and they're not no good no more. We need to start being able to capitalize on these lands and make it for the good because we've got superior seeds that's bred, to be chemical resistant, bug resistant, so forth and so on. Our way is better. So even in this whole GMO capitalization, it's racist in its own essence. In its own essence is racism at the bottom line. I don't care if they're dominating white farmers, and because guess what? The biggest victims of the farm industry is the black farmers. Hundreds of millions of acres of land was taken from black farmers. Millions and millions and millions of dollars of loans were denied to black farmers when they needed to sustain their farms. And then guess what? The bank comes in, buys it up, pennies on the dollar, kicks black families off the land, and then they go sell it to, these corporations. Big lawsuit was settled, years ago. I think it was like $1 billion was settled for black farmers because of these discriminatory practices. And whether or not they even got the money yet, I don't know. Because the so-called white man, he likes to play games with the law. And then he'll sit back and say, it's going to take some years before we actually, run through deliberation, figure out who's getting what and how much cut, and how much is going to the lawyers, how much is going to the courts, how much is going to, who's going to pay what. But this is letting you know, this is how they think. This is the mentality of your Monsantos, your Bayers, the ones who's out here colonizing and destroying lands and taking over. This is how they think. White supremacy at its best. You know this guy, Henry Kissinger? We'll talk about him in a second. But this is a quote that's attributed to him. Control oil and you control nations, okay? So we know that oil is money. It's a means of production. It's behind energy. It's behind gas. It's behind, all kind of uses. Oil was king at the time. Now it says the bigger part is control food and you control the people. You see that? That's why they want to know Great Plate Reset. This is why they want to be able to control food supply, food consumption, the narrative of diet, so forth and so on, because they want to be able to control people. How they gonna do it? Just like the old, trick of trying to get a rabbit to go in the cage or whatnot. Put the carrot on the string, lead him astray. As soon as he gets to the cage, you throw him in there with the carrot, let him eat it, but he's locked in. Same thing. They use the same utilization on the people. All right. Here he goes. Henry Kissinger's 1974 Plan for Food Control Genocide. State Memo 200. You can look this up. Look at him. Looks like an old demon, man. No neck. No neck having a little demon, man. A little troll. But he was aide to the Jimmy Carter administration back in the 70s. And, he was part of these think tanks to start creating and thinking about government policy about world domination, control, population control, so forth and so on. So he came up with the State Memo 200. And one of the portions of it was talking about utilizing food as a weapon or food as a means of control of the people. I'm going to read down. It says there were several measures that Kissinger advocated to deal with this alleged threat, most prominently birth control and related population reduction programs. All right. So you hear that? He was involved in dealing with birth control and related population reduction programs. Population control was his MO. He's still alive. He's still in the circles, advising and in control. Okay. Reading on, it says he also warned that population growth rates are likely to increase appreciably before they begin to decline, even if such measures were adopted. So in 1974, they was concerned about the population growth of many countries, some of which were Black and Hispanic. A second measure was curtailing food supplies to targeted states. Did you hear that? The second measure, he said, how else are we going to control the population? We have to curtail food supplies to targeted states, in part to force compliance with birth control policies. So you don't get food unless you follow along with the birth control policies. That's why it's important to understand when he's talking about this stimulus, when he's talking about giving you this, that, and the third, when he's talking about more government control, eventually he's going to flip the script and say, listen, now that I've got you sucking on the teat of the great whore of Babylon and you're dependent upon this poisonous milk, when I cut you off and you start crying and whining like a baby and you want more food, guess what he's going to say? You're going to have to bow down. You're going to have to sacrifice. You're going to have to give up your moral and your dietary standards if you want to live and survive. That's why it's going to be hard for those who's on federal or state subsidies and help, because it's going to be wired in with you needing to get the jab, you needing to get your vaccine passports, you needing to get your phone hacked into and monitored about your movements and so forth and so on. And what are you doing? What are you consuming? How many calories are you eating? Okay, we have to cut you off because you eat a daily amount of calories mandated by the government. All these type of things is all things going on in the think tank program. So we said there is reading the second paragraph. It said, a second measure was curtailing food supplies to targeted states, in part to force compliance with birth control policies. There is also some established precedent for taking account of family planning performance and appraisal of assistance requirements by AID, a U.S. Agency for International Development, and consultative groups. Since population growth is a major determinant of increases in food demand, allocation of scarce PL 480 resources should take account of what steps a country is taking in population control as well as food production. So they are definitely involved in controlling populations of growth. Birth control, Planned Parenthood, abortion, all these things are being promoted, and they want to kill off the seed of Israel. They made that clear. The scriptures make that clear. Psalms 83 tells you they want to name the name of Israel to be no more. Reading on. In these sensitive relations, however, it is important in style as well as substance to avoid the appearance of coercion. He said, and we can't make it look like we're being slick. Avoid the appearance of coercion. That's the devil for you. You got to be conscious because we can be slick. We can be coercion, moving operations of coercion, lies, deceit, deception, persuasiveness. He said we can't make it look like this is what we're trying to do though. Last part, quote, mandatory programs may be needed and we should be considering these possibilities now. The document continued adding, would food be considered an instrument of national power? Is the U.S. prepared to accept food rationing to help people who can't or won't control their population growth? So, as you see here, the question of utilizing food as a means to cripple and control the people is already being done and has been done. This is since 1974. Okay, we're talking 47 years ago. They were already already planning this and moving in slowly but surely. Slow kill methods, slowly incrementing these particular methods. Okay, moving on. Gates Unhinged, dystopian vision for the future of food. Look at this. Why do you think that Bill Gates is the largest owner of farmland now? What is he doing? And see now, notice now he's getting getting a little too loose. Notice it said we can't operate in methods of coercion. Now he's being a little bit too open. He's getting too caught up. Now they coming for his head. Getting divorced. They took him off of. I think they took him off of one of the councils that he was on. I don't know if it was the World Health Organization somewhere. A lot of little slanders just coming out about how he's been, running around parading with his sexual deviancies, preying on women at his office in Microsoft, hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein and the rest of the pedophile clique, going to the Lolita Express. All of this is coming out on him now. Most sides is exposing him, but he's just gonna operate in more more covertly. He's not gonna be the front man like he was. Everybody's on his head now. But here it is, Gates Unhinged, dystopian vision for the future of food. So he's got a future of food. Why is he involved in what we eat? It's Revenge of the Nerds. I mean, what this dude had, all he was dealing with was tech, Microsoft. And from what I'm understanding and hearing, he stole some of the formulas to get Microsoft going from one of his buddies. Very similar to how Facebook got set up. These dudes are dog eat dog devils, man. They don't care if they stab each other in the back. They all ain't on the same team. They're all fighting for control. Who's gonna lead? Who's gonna run? Who's getting the glory? See, it's not always a concentrated effort, man. They all devils, but they all will bite and chew each other and ass cheeks off to be the one at the top. So he's one of them. What's his Gates and his the dystopian vision for the future of food? So here we see they're all contemplating about what's going on. Why is the talk now about the Great Plate Reset? Why is the talk about the dystopian vision for the future of food? Why is food now becoming the focus? Because that's where it's going next. Do you know Bill Gates, large investor in Monsanto, and this is how they play slick. You know, Monsanto got bought out by Bayer. And I meant to put this in here. Doesn't matter. You guys can look it up for yourself. Bayer had to settle for multi-millions of dollars. I think $200 million, $250 million for a settlement. Bayer Pharmaceuticals, they were sending factor VIII blood thinners to multiple countries, South Central America, Asia. These blood thinners had HIV in them. So they infected millions of people with HIV. Bayer Pharmaceuticals. Why are they still in operation? Why are they still being able to be a part of the pharmaceutical industry when they have blood on their hands? But it doesn't matter. That's why we read earlier. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees. Because here they go. They say slap on the wrist, pay this little fine, and get back to work. Casualties of war. This is what they're dealing with. Bayer Pharmaceuticals, factor VIII, recombinant, which is I believe it's a blood thinner for hemophiliacs, people that excessively bleed and all of that. They sent out this factor VIII, tainted with HIV, gave a gang of people HIV, and that next thing you know, they're buying Monsanto. Monsanto being the largest producer of GMO. So now we talk about Monsanto. Monsanto don't necessarily exist, only in name. It's Bayer now. See how they hide? But let's see what happened with Monsanto. What's their history? Vietnam demands Monsanto pays compensation for Agent Orange victims. You hear about that? Agent Orange, Vietnam. See them spraying. Agent Orange. Now here, this is a company that's involved in crop production, that's involved in weed killers and all this other stuff, that's involved in buying lands to monopolize and build up GMO crops, and they're supposed to be trusted with human health when they ruthlessly sprayed down the Vietnamese with Agent Orange? Let's read it. Vietnam has demanded Monsanto pay compensation to the victims of Agent Orange. They said Vietnam has demanded this, not America. They ain't got no reparations on this shit that I know of. Compensation of the victims of Agent Orange, which the company supplied to the U.S. military during the Vietnam War. It came in response to the firm being ordered to pay $289 million to a school groundsman. Do you hear that? They only did it because of what they heard a brother, this is a black man, school groundsman, that got cancer, terminal cancer, from utilizing Roundup on the school campus. Roundup, weed killer, that stuff is dangerous. Carcinogens and all kind of damn poisons is in that. And here they go, selling it widespread for people to use as weed killer in their crops. And then it gets into the crops, and next thing you know, somebody's getting cancer and dying. Vietnam responded and said that they came in response to the firm being ordered to pay $289 million to a school groundsman who claims his use of the Roundup weed killer contributed to his terminal cancer. The verdict serves as a legal precedent which refutes previous claims that the herbicides made by Monsanto and other chemical corporations in the U.S. and provided for the U.S. Army in the war are harmless. A spokesman for Vietnam's Foreign Minister Nguyen Phuong Trey said. So we're seeing what Agent Orange is about, what Monsanto's history is about. They had to pay $289 million. This was a brother, again, who ended up getting terminal cancer for utilizing their product that they said was safe. Just like they say, this Pope, there's no joke. It's safe and effective. There's no problems. Meanwhile, people are dying all over the place. Here's the effects of it. Look at it. Hold on. I'm going to give y'all a real view. You're going to see the whole thing. Look at it. This is what Agent Orange does. Look at the disfiguration. No, this is not some Hollywood movie. This is not Hollywood makeup. This is real. There are people still walking around in Vietnam looking like this. They're offsprings. People that had children in the 60s, 70s, you know, and the continuing generation, their whole seed line is jacked up now. This is what you see. And Monsanto's still rolling around here making multi-billions of dollars. Sold under Bayer now. Bayer took it over and said, we'll take the dirt. But this is what Agent Orange did. Think he's repented from that? I don't think so. Let's move on. This is part of the article as well. It says he told state media Vietnam has suffered tremendous consequences from the war, especially with regard to the lasting and devastating effects of toxic chemicals, including Agent Orange. Agent Orange was a chemical herbicide and defoliant used by the U.S. military to deprive Viet Cong guerrillas of food and concealment. Between 1961 and 1971, the U.S. military sprayed around 12 million gallons of the chemical substance on over 30,000 miles of southern Vietnam. 10 years, 12 million gallons, 30,000 miles of poison sprayed all over their food supply and their crops. And you say the white man is not the devil. Okay. Now, here what you see is the narrative is going to start being switched. You're going to start hearing about alternative methods of food. Here he goes again. Bill Gates, rich nations should shift entirely to synthetic beef. So now they're talking about synthetic beef now being utilized as a nutritional supplement. Why? Because the information that's getting put out regarding the Green New Deal, carbon emissions, they're saying that cows are part of the problem. They fart too much. And the farts let off carbon emissions and it's jacking up the air. That's no word of a lie. Look it up about carbon emissions and cows farting too much. So in their mind, we got to get rid of the cows. We can always utilize synthetic beef. Give them the fake stuff. They'll never know. In his new book, How to Avoid Climate Disaster, Bill Gates lays out what it will really take to eliminate the greenhouse gas emissions driving climate change. The Microsoft co-founder, who is now co-chair of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and chair of the investment fund Breakthrough Energy Ventures, sticks to his past argument that we'll need numerous energy breakthroughs to have any hope of cleaning up all parts of the economy and the poorest parts of the world. The bulk of the food surveys, the technologies needed to slash emissions is in hard to solve sectors like steel, cement, and agriculture. So that's the idea. Again, is going to be talking about, the greenhouse gas emissions, the Green New Deal, Agenda 2030, why we need to get rid of these carbon emissions that's coming through the farts of the cows. It's no problem. We can always just use synthetic beef. This is what's going to happen. Reading on. He stresses that the innovation will take a cheaper and more political feasible for every nation to cut or prevent emissions. But Gates also answers some of the criticisms that his climate prescriptions have been overly focused on energy miracles at the expense of aggressive government policies. The closing chapters of the book lay out long lists of ways that nations could accelerate the shift, including high carbon prices, clean electricity standards, clean fuel standards. Notice everything's going to electric now. All the cars by 2030, they want a lot of the industrial cars are going into electric. I'm gonna do another lesson on that with the Agenda 2030. 2030, 21. Call it what you want about that. Volvo switching up. Ford is now just came out with the new F-150 electric car. A lot of them are switching up, getting into electric. The closing chapters of the book lay out long lists of ways that nations could accelerate the shift, including high carbon prices, clean electricity standards, clean fuel standards, and far more funding for research and development. Gates calls for governments to quintuple their annual investments in clean tech, which could add up to $35 billion in the U.S. Bill Gates, America's top farmland owner. Why is he involved in farms? What does he know about agriculture? Look at him. When was the last time you think he picked up a shovel or a hoe or watered the grass? When do you think he ever got his hands dirty? He ain't involved in no damn farm. He's buying it up so that he can what? Colonize these lands so he can have superior seed technology be implemented. See? Get the picture? Number one, Bill and Melinda Gates, 242,000 acres. Number two, the Ofoot family, 190 acres. So they've got how much? 152,000 more acres than the next leading company? Or am I tripping? 52,000, I should say. 52,000 more acres than the next leading family. The earth has been given to the hand of the wicked, right? I defy you to look up any of these names and find me a black or Hispanic face. Bill and Melinda Gates, they right there. Earth been given into the hand of the wicked. The Ofoot family, bet you they ain't black. Stuart and Linda Resnick, bet you they ain't black. Fangio family, bet you they ain't black. The Boswell family, bet you they ain't black or Hispanic. These are who owns all of the land, the majority of these lands. Why is he doing it? Because he wants synthetic beef. He wants GMOs. Here we go. Black farmers will receive stimulus aid after decades of USDA discrimination. And they say that there's no such thing as white privilege. Decades of discrimination. Denied USDA loans and grants for over a century. How long is a century? Is that 100 years? Is that over 100 years? Black farmers have been denied loans and grants. And you talking about, we freed the slaves. You guys all have opportunity just like everybody else. Work hard and you'll get it. What? I can't tell. Look at this. Over 100 years, man, our people have been denied. But there goes the curses. Curse shall be that basket in that store. He shall lend to thee, he shall not lend to him. You know. Curse shalt thou be in the city, curse shalt thou be in the field. Deuteronomy 28. It's our history, our story. I don't care what nobody's talking about. That's us. Black farmers won a class action discrimination lawsuit in the 90s, but many didn't get debt relief. Oh, really? White man speak with forked tongue. When he speaketh fair, believe him not. In the 90s. When was this published? Hold on. March 17th, 2021. So we're talking about 2 months ago. To date, they still have not gotten their settlement and debt relief from a lawsuit filed in the 90s. You see how they play games? Black farmers have faced decades of discrimination at the hands of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, which has denied them loans and other aid. A discrimination lawsuit promised vital debt relief, but many didn't get it. Now, despite some partisan resistance, Black farmers and other disadvantaged groups are getting billions in debt relief and help. Seth Bodine of member station KOSU reports. Now, they got it, supposedly got it settled in the 90s, didn't get it. Now here you go, they're getting billions of debt relief and help. When are they going to get it? Who knows? Why? Because big pharma, these big corporations are moving in and they're saying, get out the way. We're getting ready to colonize the food supplies. Why is the Gates Foundation investing in GM giant Monsanto? Oh, you wonder why? Because he got 242,000 acres of food. Of land ready to start planting Frankenfoods. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation investments in Monsanto and Cargill have come under heavy criticism. Is it time for the foundation to come clean on its visions for agriculture in developing countries? Oh, so they haven't come clean with their agenda. They're not saying why they're doing it. The level of secrecy is telling. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which is sponsoring the Guardian's global development site. You know, it sounds like some superhero stuff. Guardian's global development site is being heavily criticized in Africa and the U.S. for getting into bed not just with notorious GM company Monsanto, but also with agribusiness commodity giant Cargill. Trouble began when a U.S. financial website published the foundation annual investment portfolio, which showed it had bought 500,000 Monsanto shares worth around $23 million. This was a substantial increase in the last 6 months, and while it's just a small change for Bill and Melinda it has been enough to let loose their fiercest critics. Seattle-based AgriWatch, a project of the Community Alliance for Global Justice, was outraged. Monsanto has a history of blatant disregard for the interests and well-being of small farmers around the world. This casts serious doubt on the foundation's heavy funding of agricultural development in Africa, it thundered. And they care so much about the Africans. Yeah, right. Here it goes. Bayer reaches $2 billion deal over future Roundup cancer claims. So they inherited the dirt from Monsanto. Bayer has been struggling to finalize the settlement of claims that Roundup and other glyphosate-based herbicides cause non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, a type of cancer. Bayer inherited the business and the litigation as part of a $63 billion acquisition of Monsanto in 2018. So you got to follow the trail, follow the money. Bayer now owns Monsanto. Bought it for $63 billion. The company has said that decades of studies have shown Roundup and glyphosate are safe for human use. Wednesday's settlement would cover future claims brought by individuals who have been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and were exposed to Roundup before the diagnosis. The settlement also includes benefits for people who were exposed to Roundup and developed the cancer in the future. Roundup, which Monsanto first brought to the market in 1974, interesting. When was State Memorandum 200 formulated? Oh, 1974. Okay. It's widely used by the farmers across the United States and Brazil, alongside crops that are genetically engineered to withstand the herbicidal effect. See that? So here they have super seeds with the GMOs. And they're saying, look, the GMO seeds, they're resistant to the Roundup. So don't worry about it. Meanwhile, you're eating a double dose of poison. Monsanto sued in Puerto Rico for allegedly intentional and negligent harm to ex-employees' health. One of the lands that Monsanto is inhabiting and colonizing and utilizing their land is Puerto Rico. You know, that's a rest haven for a lot of these Edomites, man. They run into Puerto Rico, building up land, escaping because of the taxes and all this other stuff. But Monsanto's already over there. And, you know, the reports from the people around there in Aguadilla, they're saying that they can smell the chemicals being sprayed all over the GM crops, the smell that's coming from the GMO landscapes, floating through their villages, man. They said people are getting sick every day, jacking up their throats, continuing coughs. People are all jacked up over there. It's in Aguadilla, Puerto Rico. After suffering a severe allergy and respiratory problems while working in Puerto Rico with experimental agrochemicals for the multinational seed producer, Monsanto, agronomist Iris Pilot sued the company for allegedly causing her intentional and negligent harm, as well as violating her constitutional rights. The first day in court was on Friday, January 24th. So she started getting sick, wasn't feeling well, you know, as a mother of three. She was working as an agronomist for them, and she was getting concerned that she was getting sick because she was around these chemicals and around these crops. Now, people, how they did it. Sitting on one of the benches in the room, 601, at the Aguadilla Supreme Court, Pilot hugged two of her children while she cried. She was telling them she was nervous because of the hearing that was about to start before Judge Miguel Trabal Cuevas. Monsanto's lawyers and the two supervisors named as defendants, Eric Torres, former company operations manager, and Oscar Sparks, who led the experiments from the multinational's Missouri headquarters, have filed a motion for the judge to dismiss the lawsuit. So here she is going up against this big old corporation by herself, right, and her lawyers. Monsanto's lawyers argued during the hearing that the lawsuit is unfounded because the seed producer and the supervisors are covered by absolute employer immunity. Since they are insured by Puerto Rico State Insurance Fund Corporation, this government entity, which treats workers who suffer accidents in the workplace, provided treatments and compensation to the plaintiff between 2012 and 2019. So here she goes. She's getting treatment. They said, "Look, we've got immunity. We covered her under the insurance. She sought help and got got treatment for 7 years under this. So we shouldn't be held liable for nothing. We helped her. You see these damn devils? If she needed help for 7 years of treatment, I mean, what did she get? And then I believe you might be able to find there's a documentary, a little mini doc that I can't remember if it was Vice or if it was somebody else that did it on her. All right, you might be able to find it on YouTube. Check it out. You'll see the testimony from the people in the village. You know that they live over there. You know she's concerned that she's got cancer. She's feeling jacked up. You know it's really a shame because this is what they're doing. Puerto Rico now they're utilizing as one of the biggest land opportunities to set up shop. A lot of the GMOs are coming from there. How Monsanto took control of our food. This is from the website topmastersofhealthcare.com. You can check it out. Run through this and let's see what's going on. Monsanto and GMOs. Monsanto is self-proclaimed leader of genetic engineering of food crops. That's not something to be proud of. GMOs have been linked to primarily food allergies, increased toxicity, decreased nutritional value, antibiotic resistance. So even when it comes down to antibiotics, you need to, recover from some sort of sickness, illness, or whatever the case may be. If you eat too many GMOs, the antibiotics ain't gonna work. Slow kill methods is what they're doing. Notice all the people, everybody's got allergies now. Moving on. 1901, John Francis Queeny founded Monsanto, giving the company his wife's maiden name. Queeny, a purchaser for a wholesale drug house, forms his St. Louis-based company in order to begin production of saccharin, an artificial sweetener developed to the later part of the 19th century. So here's the history. 1901, John Francis Queeny, he developed it in order to start creating fake sugar. 1905, the company begins producing caffeine and vanilla. 1915, Monsanto sales surpassed $1 million for the first time. In the 20s, the company expanded to industrial chemicals and drugs and introduces now banned polychlorinated biphenyls. So they already would start making banned chemicals back in the 20s. In the 30s, Monsanto creates its first hybrid seed corn and expands production of cleaners and synthetic rubbers and plastics. When I was reading this, my mind was blown. I'm thinking, Monsanto's maybe from the 60s, 50s. No, they've been in it since the 1900s, 1901 on. And in the 1930s is the first time they created a hybrid seed of corn. You know the damn near 98, I want to say 98%, maybe 99% of the corn is all GMO. That's true. I finally found some canned corn that said it was non-GMO. Since the 30s, they've been creating synthetic rubbers and plastics and hybrid corn. 1936, Monsanto acquires Ohio-based Thomas and Hockwell Laboratories, a connection that later helps the U.S. develop the atomic bomb. Yeah, they helped create the atomic bomb. I mean, this company is unbelievable. The company begins producing polystyrene, the main component in styrofoam. 1976 is when they had Roundup. The company introduced a synthetic chemical herbicide, Roundup. 1972, Monsanto halts production on saccharin. 1956, the Navy tests determined that the hydraulic fluid the company is trying to sell to the military is associated with filter damage in humans. 1945, Monsanto begins production of agricultural chemicals such as 24D, later used to make Agent Orange and DDT. Congress bans production of PCBs after they were found to cause cancer, including damage to the liver, immune system, reproductive system, skin, eyes, and brain. Before the ban, 99% of PCBs used in the U.S. were produced by Monsanto. These people got a lot of blood on their hands. 1984, Monsanto pays out millions of dollars to Vietnam veterans exposed to Agent Orange. Oh, so they did get a little money. 85, the company purchases chemical manufacturer GD Searle despite a previous FDA inquiry into Surf's chief product, aspartame, a controversial sweetener, which Donald Rumsfeld had pushed to great approval. Aspartame, it's in a lot of gums. It's in a lot of, it's like another artificial sweetener. Okay, watch for aspartame. 85. 94, the company introduces its first genetically modified product, recombinant bovine growth hormone, in efforts to increase milk production. So when you start looking at the labeling on your beef, you may see that it says no growth hormones, RBG, what is it? RBGH, to increase milk production. You know, you got to look for that because that's what they utilize to help mass produce the milk. They was injecting the cows with steroids to build them up faster so they can get the milk produced even faster. That was in 94. 96, Monsanto introduces its first genetically engineered seeds, Roundup, ready soybeans, and insect-resistant cotton. See, that's what they do. They put the poison in the seeds so that when the insects eat it, it kills the insect, but allows the growth of the plants to continue on. But you only get like one growth out of it, and then you got to replant more. That's why you got to find heirloom seeds that continually produce until it's done, because otherwise GMO crops, the Terminator seeds, they only hit one time. You get your crops out of it and that's it. You got to replant some more. 98, scientists document the first Roundup resistant weed with another to be discovered in 2000 and 3 more in 2004. To date, 24 weeds have developed resistance to Roundup worldwide thanks to overuse of the chemical. 2000, Monsanto splits its medical and agricultural operations into separate companies. The agricultural company keeping the Monsanto name. 2003, Monsanto and subsidiary Solutia agreed to pay more than $700 million to Alabama residents over widespread health problems connected to PCB contamination. So here they are. They constantly paying these fines in the hundreds of millions of dollars, and they continually are able to operate. How is that? When they've been utilized to make atomic bombs, Agent Orange, DDT, I mean, come on. Here they are with all of this dirt under their nails, lives under the blood spilled all over the damn place, and they still are able to operate. 2011, more Roundup ready crops, including alfalfa, sugar beets, and corn are approved. Speculation grows that overuse of products like Roundup is to blame for the colony collapse disorder affecting honeybees. So you ever hear about the honeybee shortage? The dying of the honeybees, that was going on 10 years ago. And maybe even longer than that. Why was that happening? Why is it important? Because the bees help pollinate, the crops. It helps the environment. It's part of the cycle and the chain of growth in agriculture. You kill them off, we're in trouble. 2012, the company makes strong opposition to California's Proposition 37 that would have requiring a label of foods. Listen to this, 2012, California. The company makes strong opposition to California's Proposition 37 that would have required labeling of foods with genetically engineered ingredients. Thanks in part to Monsanto's $8.1 million in donation to the campaign, the initiative fails at the ballot box. So back in 2012, there was a big debate over this Proposition 37 where they were requiring Monsanto to label everything that was GMO. Anything had GMO in it, they had to label it. Now they say we don't have to do that. Only thing that they do is the producers have to say this is non-GMO. See the difference? You can say it's non-GMO, but you cannot say that this is GMO. Devil is slick. 2014, Monsanto reports revenue of nearly $16 billion. And they just got bought for $63 billion. Big business in this. Monsanto patented seeds are used to grow 93% of U.S. soybeans. Soybeans is damn near everything. 80% of U.S. corn. I think it's higher than that. 282 million acres worldwide are using Monsanto products. Did you hear that? 282 million acres around the world are being utilized and colonized Is that a word? Colonized for Monsanto products. 404 total facilities worldwide in 66 countries. They're all over the place. It's worldwide. It's global. The earth has been given into the hand of the wicked. 40% total U.S. crop acreage using Monsanto products. So 40%, almost half of the U.S. is being used for Monsanto products. Occupation. Top products. Roundup, herbicides, Asgrow soybean seeds, Delphine cotton seeds, Cepinus vegetable seeds, Dorita vegetable seeds, Smart Stacks insect repellent corn, Bulgrad insect repellent cotton. Influence, you see here the graph. Monsanto lobbying spending by year. This is how they pay. Follow the money. They pay the lobbyists, they pay these politicians to move forth with their policies. 2008, they spent $8 million. 2009, another $8 million. 2010, $8 million. 2011, $6 million. 2012, $5 million. 2013, $6.9 million. Damn near $7 million. 2014, they spent $4 million. So they constantly go up. The price goes up, as we see. The more that the influence, comes around, the price is going down, going up, but they always are paying to continually pay these politicians through lobbying. And that's what happens. The big corporations, they pay these politicians to lobby for them and their cause. Monsanto board members have worked or advised for the EPA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Presidential Advisory Committee, universities, and international trade councils and science academias. I'm going to read that again. Their board members are or have worked or advised in the EPA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the Presidential Advisory Committee, the universities, the international trade councils, and science academia. Do you see that? There is no escape. They're in everything. They're advising and they're working in everything that is supposed to be regulating food production, control, diet, nutrition, so forth and so on. What do they do to the farmers? Control the farmers. The licensing agreement on every bag of Monsanto seed ensures the company can sue farmers for not following Monsanto procedures and allows the company to investigate fields and records of farmers anytime it chooses. The company also has a toll-free hotline where neighbors and community members can report on farmers who may be using Monsanto seeds without license. So they're controlling the farmers, they're blackmailing them. Then it says, we've only scratched the surface on how Monsanto controls our food supply with genetically engineered products. With its hands in so much of the food we eat and politicians in its back pocket, there's no doubt Monsanto will continue to exert control and influence over agriculture and human health. Now, I'm going to switch up a little bit. Reset the table, meeting the moment to transform the U.S. food system. Look at our great friends. Hold on. Our great friends at the Rockefeller Foundation created this. Reset the table. That's the movement. That's what they're promoting this as. Meeting the moment to transform the U.S. food system. When was this created? July 28th, 2020. Hold on. I got it. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. And let me see. This is it. Okay, y'all see this? This is part of that document. Okay. Reset the table, meeting the moment to transform the U.S. food system. I'm just going to read a little bit of this. 25 pages, y'all can look it up. It's online, you can download it. And it's all centered around what the vid has done. Remember, Never let a good crisis go to waste. So they're utilizing this as a means to implement new measures of a quote unquote new normal, which even will include what goes on the plate. And they're trying to promote it as this is some humanitarian affair. Look at this. How much 40% of Americans are unable to access $400 in times of emergency. So here they are. They're so concerned about everybody not being able to eat. Many of the people cannot afford such buying sprees. Of course, with 37 million Americans already food insecure and 10 millions of American furloughed or fired, the effects of the COVID-19 in terms, damn, I shouldn't have said that. It's all right. In terms of health and unemployment, were disproportionately experienced by Black, Indigenous people of color. For example, among those aged 45 to 54 and Black and Hispanic, death rates are at least 6 times higher than that of whites. Oh, so do you see who they're targeting? You see who they're claiming they're most concerned about? Black, Indigenous, and Hispanic. And for those who are saying the Hispanics and Native American, they ain't Israel, well, why the hell are they being targeted and cursed just like the so-called Negro is? White man thinks so. White man is concerned about it. If he's saying it, see, this is rules of engagement. Identify your enemy. That's why he's noting who he's concerned with. Black, Hispanic, Indigenous. Now, let me read this a little bit down here. See, who are they highlighting again? 63% of Hispanic workers and 54% of Black workers reported earning low wages even before the vid struck. So here they are. They're so concerned about our communities, and they want to figure out, well, how can we reset their plates? How can we make food more accessible to them? How can we make sure that they're eating, that they're being well taken care of? Well, we can put some poison on the plate. We can give them some more food that's going to be detrimental to their health. We can give them some more food that's going to actually reduce their population and curtail them from repopulating. See that? See how this is working out? This is how it goes. And they're trying to make it sound like this is it. You know what they're going to do? How they're going to frame it? And this is part of the document. They're saying they want to put it in the schools first. No child left behind. Every kid eats. Make sure you're eating. They're going to get a nutritious meal from school, and then we're going to make sure. So as long as you're on government or federal assistance, you know, you're on WIC, you're on EBT, you're on SNAP. We're going to make sure that you're getting the food that you need. Because you notice on WIC, you get them you get them little coupon certificates. You have to get cereals, cheese, milk, you know, approved stuff by them. Watch when they add on to that though. What else is going to be approved that you have to get with them benefits? See, they're so concerned about us. White man loves us so much. Look at it. A fundamental change is needed in the U.S. food system. They're already acknowledging change has got to come. But check this out. Hold on. Create an integrated nutrition security system. So they want to integrate a security system regarding nutrition. Do's and don'ts, yays and nays. But check this. Food is medicine. So here, now they're going to start telling you what foods is okay to eat, what food is going to be utilized as medicine, but it gets even more deeper than that. They want to implement vaccines through the foods. See, they know that the quote unquote woke crowd is we awake now. We're not taking the jab. We're not dealing with the needle. But you know how they're going to cross promote it? Oh, for the kids, for the children who are scared of the needle, scared of getting their yearly rounds of the jab, their qualification. We'll make it easy. We'll just put it in the food. All they got to do is eat it. Think that's bogus? Okay, watch this. Investing in healthy and protective diets will allow Americans to thrive and bring down our nation's suffocating healthcare costs. Poor quality diets are leading the cause of rising costs. Yet the healthcare system places little to no emphasis on the nutrition. So all of this is talking about how they want to integrate medicines into foods, and they're even talking about how they wanted to make it feasible with the insurance companies that your diet now can be covered by your insurance, Medicaid and Medicare. That's why they have this particular picture right here. You know, somebody talking to their medical practitioner. Here it is right here. Look, practically this elevation of nutrition requires reaching an agreed definition of a healthy diet. So who's going to make that agreement? Practically, this elevation of nutrition requires reaching an agreed definition of a healthy diet. Well, who's going to make the determination of what's a healthy diet? They certainly not going to use Deuteronomy 14 or Leviticus 11. No. Corporations are going to decide that. Your oppressor is going to decide that. Investing in nutrition research and improving education of medical providers and the public on nutrition. The elevation of nutrition into care could include the coverage. Hold on. The elevation of nutrition into care could include the coverage of healthy food by Medicaid and Medicare plans for those struggling with nutrition insecurity and integration of nutrition security screening. Linking together our food system and our health system can save both lives and money and better protect against future pandemics. Okay, so you see that here, the elevation of nutrition into care could include the coverage of healthy food by Medicaid and Medicare. So now your insurance is going to tell you what's covered and what isn't covered as it pertains to the government and your oppressor telling you what you can and can't eat. Otherwise, you're going to have to pay exorbitant amount of prices to eat what you want to eat. You see that? Let me share my screen back to the PowerPoint. I hope y'all are still with me. I ain't got too much more to go. But stick with me now. Let me get back over here. All right, let's move on. So that was part of this document. Okay, so they're already making the plans. They want to meet and transform the food system. They want to meet and transform what's going on the plates and the tables. It's another form of oppression, another form of population control, another form of deleting and erasing and trying to get rid of the Black, Indigenous, and Hispanic community. We just got through reading. That's who they're concerned with. That's the target audience. Those the low down and the oppressed, the downtrodden and the forgotten. Those who they are saying are concerned about who can't afford good, nutritious, healthy food. We have to make it available for them. But we've got to make these Frankenfoods first. It's got to get cooked up in these labs. It's got to get sprayed down with these chemicals, and it's got to get approved first. Okay, let's move on. Here we go. This is a clinical study that's been done, peer reviewed or whatnot. Website's down here, ncbi.gov. It's a government article. All right. And this particular article is talking about them creating antigens to put into the food. They want to create plants and herbs that you can eat that have the vaccines in them. Now, who's to say that they have to tell you what's in it? Didn't we just get to read in Prop 37 in California? We try to say, look, label what's GMO. We want to know. They said, no, we're not telling you. So now if they move forward with this plan, do you think that they're going to say, well, yes, we have to tell you whether or not, you know, the antigen or the vaccine is in it? They don't have to. Why? Because the lobbyists, you know, Monsanto, they're paying to say, no, we have to get this in them. The woke crowd is too awake. They're shattering everybody's faith and confidence in medicine and in foods and everything else. They're refusing to take the jab. So what do we got to do? We got to find another method. A spoonful of antigen. Immunization without needles could have medical and technical advantages, as well as being less traumatic for children. See, they always target the kids. They're concerned about the babies. You know, oh, they're scared of needles. They're scared. It's some grown folks scared of needles. These are the ones who's going to be salivating, saying, oh, finally, I don't have to get a jab in my arm now. I'll eat it. Any parent who has ever taken their child a seemingly endless series of vaccinations armed with pacifiers, lollipops, and a pack of lies about how much it will hurt must have hoped that one day someone will come up with a better way to protect infants from infection. A few may even have looked on wistfully as the oral polio vaccine went down and wondered why all vaccines weren't that simple. Fortunately, scientists love that their children too. For the past 15 years, they have been looking for the best way to produce vaccines you can eat. Did you hear that? You can eat. The original idea was simple: genetically engineer an edible fruit or vegetable so that it contains a vaccine and feed it to children. Early pioneers started experimenting with carrots, bananas, tomatoes, soybeans, and corn. One team led by Charles Archison, the US-based grandfather of edible vaccines, made it all the way to phase 1, human trials with potatoes engineered to produce harmless antigen proteins from enterotoxigenic uh, Escherichia coli, Norwalk virus, and hepatitis B virus. In a series of elegant experiments, volunteers who ate the potatoes mounted a limited immune response to all three. All right, so that's all I'm gonna read from that. But you see here, the next level is to put it in the food supply. See where I'm going with this? But look at this. This is gonna be the new narrative too. You know, the new nutrition that's going to be agreed upon. Eating insects will soon go mainstream as bug protein is set to explode into an $8 billion business. Oh, impossible meats, impossible foods, all that other stuff. Those is all cool. Bill Gates, synthetic beef. You see how they want to take all of the real stuff off the table? All of the things that your grandparents, my father's, my mother, that they great grandparents grew up eating. Everybody knows the food just don't taste the same no more. Even at the fast food places, they ain't taste the same no more. Everything is highly produced, medically, everything is already misshapen and taken form into a whole new hybrid form of food. All the preservatives, everything else is going on. So you're seeing here, this is the new wave. Now for us as Israelites, okay, it's okay. We know John the Baptist, he ate locusts and honey. We know that there's restrictions in regards to insects that we can and can't eat. So here we may have to, start looking at ulterior diets. I've ate, crickets before, grasshoppers, just to see, hey, this is lawful. Let's try it. One of the brothers that I know, it brought some. They was all seasoned and flavored up. Now I wouldn't make it, the norm. But if the Most High said, hey, they're clean, okay. But no, dealing with the devil, he ain't gonna give you no lawful bugs, and he's gonna give you beetles and all kind of crazy crap. Who knows? But they're talking about it. It's on the table. That's part of the plate reset. You're gonna be eating bugs and all kind of abominable recreations of soil and green. As plant-based meats takes off, Barclays looks to bugs as a major part of the future of alternative proteins. The insect protein market could be worth $8 billion by 2030. See the date? Up from less than $1 billion in 2019, according to meticulous research data cited on Barclays report published Monday. According to Barclays analysts, eating bugs is said to become increasingly popular as the global population swells. See that? Global population swelling. We're running out of meat, running out of food. We need alternatives. We need to reset the diet, making it an attractive investment for grocery chains, food makers like Nestle and PepsiCo, and perhaps one day massive chains like McDonald's. Oh, McDonald's is already co-opted with the government. They're putting all the jab information on the cups now, trying to promote and telling you need to go get it. It's safe. It's okay. I mean, come on. If you're going to eat the pink slime at McDonald's, you might as well go get the jab. See that? Roughly 2 billion people in 130 countries already regularly eat insects. Yeah, it's like a delicacy down in Mexico and all that. They be eating cricket tacos and everything. Like I said, I've tried it. I mean, it's all right. It's an acquired taste, but if that's what we had to eat, if that's what I had to eat, imagine if you in the wilderness, you out somewhere, what have you, you starving to death, and the Most High said, man, these are the bugs you can eat. You might want to round some up and cook them up for sustainability because there is proteins in it. The Most High said it, but this ain't what the so-called white man's gonna be doing. You think he's running around rounding up all kind of bugs to make sure? No. Fly catching. Look up GMO mosquitoes that Bill Gates has created. They're going to be genetically modifying and creating these bugs. Eating bugs is far more sustainable, there goes that word again, than traditional meat products. With the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization encouraging the consumption of insects since 2003, and Barclays notes, as the most health-aware and environmentally conscious Generation Gen Z is less likely to dismiss the idea of eating insects because of the, quote, yuck factor. The explosive rise of the plant-based, quote, meat highlights a growing appetite for alternatives to traditional meat products. This is the narrative. This is what's being put out there now. Food of the future. EU nations put mealworms on the menu. Oh, so not only bugs, but they're going to say mealworms is okay. Dried yellow mealworms could soon be hitting supermarket shelves and restaurants across Europe. The European Union's 27 nations gave the green light Tuesday to a proposal to put the Tenebrio monitor beetle's larvae on the market as a novel food. The move came from the EU's Food Safety Agency published a scientific opinion this year that concluded worms were safe to eat. Research, how they had to say, think tanks, they say we have to develop and say, well, what's nutritional? So this is the stuff that they're going to start putting on the table and taking other things off the table. Researchers said the worms were either eaten whole or in powder form or a rich protein snack or ingredient in other foods. Allergic reactions may occur for people with pre-existing allergies to crustaceans and dust mites, the commission said. See that? Crustaceans, that's the same category as clams, shrimp, lobster, all them other abominations. We're not to eat those. But see how he messes in a whole nother abomination? Insects as food represent a very small market, but EU officials said breeding them for food could have environmental benefits. See, environmental, Green New Deal, greenhouse gas emissions. We need to save the environment. The UN Food and Agriculture Organization calls insects a healthy, quote, a healthy and highly nutritious food source with a high content of fat, protein, vitamins, fibers, and minerals, end quote. Believe that? Eating meat linked to wide ranges of illnesses, says a study. So now the reverse narrative is we have to convince the people that eating meat is wrong. You're going to eat meat, you're going to destroy yourself. See, that's why you read in, Romans 14, we'll talk about one eateth meat, one eateth herbs, which is the better? The answer is neither. But that's been an age-old debate. It's food wars going on as we speak. You got the raw eaters, the vegans, vegetarians, pescatarians. Then you get the, you see all these the categorizations of people. We just talking about what you eat. And now you have to be separated into different forms of groups. Why? To wage war. And then who's got to come in and be the peacemaker? White man. Government says, you know what? Everybody stop fighting because you know what? All y'all going to eat the same damn thing. Taking it all off the table. Vegetarian, you okay? Vegans, you want that? Okay, cool. It's all laced with chemicals. It's all laced with vaccines. It's all laced with GMOs. You're going to eat that. Oh, you like to eat meat? Guess what? No more real beef and all that other stuff. Synthetic, or you can eat bugs and worms. Which one you want? Oh, pescatarians, you want fish? We got something for you too. Hold on. We're going to get there. Eating meat is linked to a wide range of illnesses. So now they want to discourage you with the narrative of eating meat is wrong. It's nasty. It's messed up. It's going to kill you. Eat bugs and worms instead. Eating meat regularly could carry a high risk of a wide range of common illnesses, a new study suggests. Previous studies have linked red and processed meats like bacon or sausages to several diseases such as bowel cancer. Well, guess what? The Most High already told us, don't eat anything that's linked with the swine. So you eat a little turkey, bacon, whatever, okay. But everything in moderation. Even the scriptures tell you not to eat excessively with meats. So why do I need the white man to tell me again? Remind me? Anyway, but a new study examined the relationship between meat consumption in general and 25 common illnesses other than cancer. Researchers from the University of Oxford looked at 475,000 men and women who were taking part in the UK Biobank study. So we're seeing the narrative now is being put out there. Don't eat meat. Bill Gates says synthetic. Eat bugs. Eat plants. Eat worms. It's more healthy. You want to reduce cancer? Switch up your diet to what we say is approved. How about this? Remember Bill Gates? Synthetic beef? Steaks being grown from human cells sparks interest and outrage. It's New York Times. Did you see that? Soylent Green. Hello? Remember I said that earlier? Steaks grown from human cells spark interest and outrage. An artist project offering an absurdist take on the lab-grown meat industry triggers a debate and backlash in London. See, they do this stuff just for a test. They want to see what will you accept, what won't you accept. Some people are interested, some people are outraged. Why everyone's not outraged? That's what keeps them going. The installation of steak grown from human cells at the Design Museum in London was intended to criticize the meat industry's rising use of living cells from animals. It ended up triggering a roiling debate about bioethics and the pitfalls of artistic critique. Orkin Telhan, an artist and associate professor of fine arts at the Stuart Weitzman School of Design at the University of Pennsylvania, spent the last year imagining how climate change, there we go again, might impact the future of food consumption. He collaborated with scientists to create a project that included 3D printed pancakes, bioengineered bread, and genetically modified salmon. But it was their proactive and less appetizing development of what they call Ouroboros steak, meat cultivated from human cells and expired blood, that challenged the sustainability practices of the nation's cellular agriculture industry, which develops lab-grown products from existing cell cultures. Oh yeah, it's real. Singapore is the first country in the world to approve lab-grown chicken products. So do you see how they use third world, smaller countries, islands, make them the beta test, see if they'll accept it, see if they'll eat it. Oh, they'll eat anything over there. So why not? So even the chicken is being caught up. Chicken bites from bioreactor grown chicken will be available for sale. Isn't that nice? So you got synthetic meat, lab grown chicken, lab grown herbs, lab grown vegetables, fruits. See where this is going? All in the name of sustainability, population control, saving the earth, so forth and so on. Currently, farms around the world produce chicken for sale by raising fast-growing chicken breeds in batches of tens of thousands, tightly packed in warehouses that are a public health hazard, a fire hazard, a worker safety hazard, and a hazard to the well-being of the chickens themselves. What if instead we could grow that meat without the chickens? Did you hear that? Without the chickens? Researchers all over the world have been chasing that dream of lab-grown or cultured meat for years. 2 weeks ago, lab-grown meat took one step closer to reality as the Singapore Food Agency approved the sale of cultured chicken meat grown in bioreactors, becoming the first agency in the world to issue such an approval. Now, not long after the approval, the chicken is on the menu at a Singapore restaurant called 1880 as part of a multi-course dinner, including chicken dishes from China, Brazil, and the United States. That's not a typo, y'all. This is from 2011. I brought this out 10 years ago. So brothers and sisters. Fox News, Japanese scientists create meat from poop. You gonna eat that? You see how they're all racing to the finish line, trying to see who can come up with the most inexpensive and the most scientifically proactive way to have you eat synthetic, lab-grown, abominable Frankenfood. The damn Ammonites say we can make meat out of poop. Anyone up for some poop burgers? Oh yeah. Japanese scientist Mitsuyuki Akita from the Okayama laboratory certainly doesn't believe in human waste. He thinks that's perfectly good protein you're sending out to the sea, and he's found a way to extract it, mix it with steak sauce, and create a fecal feast fit for a king. And despite the downside of having to add soya to bind it all together, Professor Akita thinks there's no reason why we shouldn't all tuck into his turd burgers. You can't make this up. Why would he even think of it, you might ask? Because Tokyo sewage asked him to. Tokyo is swimming in sewage mud. It seems that there's only one way it can save itself, and that's eat it. Again, you can't make this stuff up, man. Reading on an article, Professor Akita found the mud was loaded with protein due to high bacteria content. Combine it with reaction enhancer and put it in a magical machine called an exploder, and artificial steak comes out the other end. According to Digital Trends, it's 63% protein, 25% carbohydrates, 3% lipids, and 9% minerals. It's colored red so you don't know it's poop. Oh, isn't that nice? Initial tests have people saying it even tastes like beef. People tasted it. Can you believe this? Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Digital trends reports. Professor Ikeda and his colleagues say it's the perfect solution for reducing waste and emissions. Hear that again. Emissions. Remember what Bill Gates talked about? Green carbon emissions. We're talking about, and it says from flatulent cows. Yeah, remember I said that? Cows farting too much. So we got to get rid of that and create an alternative, which is understandable because if someone told you that Whopper you just ate was actually made from yesterday's leftover feces, you'd probably be too traumatized to masticate meat ever again. Imagine that. Oh, it's still here. This is 2016. Could another person's feces help you lose weight? Oh, so now they're concerned about you losing weight. Remember, nutritional supplements? How can we make sure that you're getting all the nutrients that you need? You know, America is the most obese nation in the world. Everybody wants to lose weight. Everybody's on some program. Everybody's dieting. Everybody's an expert. Well, here's another solution. Out of CNN Health. The diversity of the bacteria living in your feces is linked to how much fat you have in your body, according to a new study. The insight could pave the way for fecal transplants of bacteria to help people manage their weight, reduce their risk of certain metabolic diseases, or more simply, encourage them to broaden the bacteria found in their gut, and therefore their poop by eating a healthier, more varied diet. We wanted to characterize how the microbiome changes in obese people, and we see that bacteria live in the gut, said Michelle Beaumont, a research associate in gut microbiome and obesity at King's College in London, and lead author of the study. This study has shown a clear link between bacterial diversity in feces and markers of obesity and cardiovascular risk. Wow. Now check this out. This is Google search. You can do it yourself. Does clone meat have to be labeled? The answer, no. Emphatically, N-O. Does clone meat have to be labeled? Do you understand that? Artificial meat could be from poop, could be from, a clone cow or whatever. Who knows? They don't have to label it. FDA is not requiring an additional. Let me read that again. FDA is not requiring any additional measures relating to food derived from adult clones of cattle, swine, and goats, and offspring of clones of any species traditionally consumed as food, including labeling. So what do we know what we're eating? Do we? Think about it. Remember the fish? I said we'll get to it. Genetically modified salmon head to UN's dinner plates. If you remember, I think either episode 10 or 9 of Don't Shoot the Messenger covered the fact that salmon from the salmon farms in California are being transported up to the Pacific Ocean because of the drought and the lack of fish there. So they're inputting fish into the Pacific Ocean from these salmon farms. So the salmon that you're eating, that I'm eating, that possibly whoever is ordering at your dinner plate, genetically modified. Not fresh, not real. Genetically modified salmon is headed to U.S. dinner plates. Indianapolis, the AP, Associated Press. The inaugural harvest of genetically modified salmon began this week after the pandemic delayed the sale of the first such altered animal to be cleared for human consumption in the United States, company officials said. Several tons of salmon engineered by biotech company AquaBounty Technologies Incorporated will now head to restaurants and away from home dining services where labeling as genetically engineered is not required. Again, not required. So you go to your favorite little restaurant and he said, yeah, I want the smoked salmon with this, that, and the third. Very possibly it's a GMO. Or it's a clone. Let's put it that way. Where labeling genetically engineered is not required in the Midwest and along the East Coast, company CEO Sylvia Wolf said. Thus far, the only customer to announce it is selling the salmon is Samuel's and Sun Seafood, a Philadelphia-based seafood distributor. AquaBounty has raised its faster growing salmon in an indoor aquaculture farm in Albany, Indiana. The fish is genetically modified to grow twice as fast as wild salmon, reaching market size 8 to 12 pounds, 3.6 to 5.4 kilos in 18 months rather than 36. You see how they're rapidly producing them? That's all part of the plan, y'all. All part of the plan. So hopefully y'all stuck with me on this one. It's interesting, on the dichotomy of where things is going. I want to make sure that y'all got the opportunity, go over this information. You may find some more that you can add to the table, bring to the table, bring awareness, let our people know, right? Because it's important that our people understand and know, where the trajectory of the world is going prophetically and how we're dealing with, things that it impacts us in the world. We're in the last days, or the beginnings of the end. Call it what you want, but the walls are closing in. Decisions have to be made. Sacrifice is going to be necessary, in order for us to maintain. Let me give one more scripture. One more scripture. Let me share my screen and oh no, you know what? Sorry. There is one thing I did want to show, but let me read this first, okay? There is one last little video clip I did want to share with everybody, and that's your beloved VP Kamala, making her declaration regarding how she feels about where diet is going. Mark 16:18. Let's read that real quick. They shall take up servants, and if they drink any deadly thing, it shall not hurt them. They shall lay hands on the sick, and they shall recover. This is a promise by Yahushua. All right. So all of us in the faith, all of us who are living lawfully according to the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, living in the fear of the Lord, operating by faith, because the Most High said, without faith, it's impossible to please Him. Have opportunity, to seek the salvation of the Lord. And it said that we may partake in unknowingly some of these poisons. We may have already done it. Who knows? But it's only through the faith and the grace and the mercy of the Most High that we're able to sustain. It's not a pass for you to go out there and be reckless with your diet and go out there and eat whatever you want. It's not a free reign to go ahead and say, well, shoot, we're going to drink poison and live. I might as well just disregard the dietary law. No. You still maintain, you still follow along with righteous order and the protocols of the scriptures. Okay, that's for those of us who may inadvertently, partake in some of these things, or may not have knowledge of it, may be ignorant to the fact. Who knows? But at the same point in time, we know that there's definitely an operated plan that is being utilized to control the population and wants to destroy us, even through food population and food cultures. Okay, so the way that the so-called white man does it, he plays his cloak and dagger stuff, man, with constantly changing names of ingredients and, hiding things and this, that, and the third. So it's hard to keep up with it. He's constantly covering his tracks, man, smoke screening every damn thing, hiding behind saying it's good for you, it's for the best, I'm trying to help you. And at the same point in time, he's slow killing. I'm gonna bring it out to the next Don't Shoot the Messenger. But for those who don't know, the first man that got the jab, ironically named William Shakespeare, he got it in December. First man ever to get it in the world. He just died. How long did it take? 6 months of a stroke. And if you notice a lot of the side effects, there was a 15-year-old kid. He died of a stroke after he got it. So you see the pattern? Many of the anti-jabbers, professionals in the medical industry are all saying that in order wait for the chemicals and everything else to really manifest, the nanotech to manifest and attack the lungs, the heart, the blood, everything else. 6 to 9 months is when it may really affect. So we haven't seen the last of this. Wait until the end of the year, the beginnings of next year. And it's going to be too late, because guess what? 6 months later, after William Shakespeare got it, nobody's even talking about that was the cause. See, it'll be a forgotten memory. Only thing he's going down is the first person that ever got it. Let me show you this last little clip, and I'm gonna let y'all go. Where is she at? Hold on. One more time. There she goes. There she goes. Good old Kamala. Kamala. Whatever the hell her name is. Check her out, though. Name of the video says, Kamala says she would change the dietary guidelines to reduce the amount of red meat you can eat. See the narrative? It's still there. Hold on.
Certain countries have changed their dietary guidelines to reduce the consumption of red meat in light of the impact of the climate change.
Yeah.
If elected, will you be supporting change in dietary guidelines? And then how will you plan on implementing the changes so that people effectively change the diets?
Yeah, I mean, and thank you, Carol, for your work on the question. There's
I don't know if it was loud enough.
To reduce certain countries
I just turned it up a little bit. I don't know if it was loud enough, but just listen to this. So the question is she going to? This was during her presidential campaign, and the question came up regarding: is she going to follow suit with some of the other countries who are concerned about the dietary guidelines that's being set for their respective people?
Have changed the dietary guidelines to reduce the consumption of red meat in light of the impact of the climate change.
Yeah.
If elected, will you be supporting change in dietary guidelines? And then how will you plan on implementing the changes so that people effectively change the diets?
Yeah, I mean, and thank you, Carol, for your work on the question. I think of the point that you're raising.
See in the back, climate crisis. This is the talking points. Okay.
In a broader context, which is that as a nation, we actually have to have a real priority at the highest level of government around what we eat and in terms of healthy eating, because we have a problem in America. And we can talk about all that we are now, the subject of this conversation. We can talk about the amount of sugar in everything. We can talk about soda. We can go on and on. So the answer is yes. But I'll also say this:
the answer is yes. It's at the top priority. Top priority. She's not a VP.
The balance that we have to strike here, frankly, is about what government can and should do around creating incentives and then banning certain behaviors. I mean, just to be very honest with you, I love cheeseburgers.
Creating incentives and banning certain behavior. Banning. That means restricting certain behaviors. So that means there's going to be a time where certain things that you were saying, doing, or they won't be allowed anymore. And then she's talking about creating incentives. Well, don't you see that now? With the jab? States all across the country are now offering lottery tickets and, free hotel stays and dinners here and a beer here and all this other stuff if you get it. A little money if you come get it. I mean, it's unprecedented how they're pushing this. But she said incentives will be part of the program.
From time to time, right? I mean, I just do, and I think that, but there has to be also what we do in terms of creating incentives that we will eat in a healthy way, that we will encourage moderation, and that we will be educated about the effect of our eating habits on our environment. And we have to do a much better job of that, and the government has to do a much better job of that. So,
I mean, I'm just saying, you love cheeseburgers. I mean, we all do.
From time to time,
they try, but it's not quite the same. That's my personal opinion. But would you support changing the dietary guidelines?
Yes.
The food pyramid. But people
yes,
to reduce red meat specifically.
Yes, I would.
Okay. Enough for her. Enough for her. But But you heard her straight from the horse's mouth. Yes, yes, I would. So she's definitely invested in the changing of the diet, changing of the narrative and the food narrative, the nutritional narrative that happens here for people. And she's in control now. As vice president, she's going to start implementing all of this stuff. So you already see what's happening. You see what time it is. You got to understand it all the times we're living in, why it's important. Appreciate everybody that's been tuning in, stuck in with me. It's been 2 hours, 20 minutes. But it's important information for everybody to be aware of and cognizant of. Something to just, start implementing and thinking about. Salute to all of those who are out there creating self-sustainable means for yourselves through your gardens, through your own agricultural means and whatnot. It's going to be important to do so. For those of us who don't have the knowledge or don't, practice, we might have to start researching and seeing how to do so. But even still, there's going to be times where I believe that, the so-called white man, he's going to come in and even seize lands. He's got a history of doing that. He's done it before. As long as we're paying taxes on the land, the government still has, opportunity to seize lands. I think they try to do that with the Edomite family, the Bundys, over in, I think they were in Nevada, and the government tried to seize their land, and they had a whole standoff with them. I don't know if they're still going through any legal, litigation or whatnot, but, as Native Americans, what happened to their land? So even having your own land, can still be detrimental. It may not even be an end-all, be-all solution. So we're in a particular narrow strait right now when it comes down to the trajectory of where this whole thing is going. So be aware, be vigilant. As the scripture said, 1 Peter 5:8, to be vigilant. Your adversary, the devil, will walk about like a roaring lion. Not the one behind me. That's my boy. But you know who he is. Satan. Seeking whom he may devour. Stay vigilant, stay focused, stay faithful, stay prayed up. Messengers of the covenant is the congregation. And that's it. And give our praise, honor, glory to the Most High. And say shalom.